I'd like to call the meeting to order.
Madam Chair, I move that we reconvene in open session and adopt the certification of closed session.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Certification of closed session. Whereas the Dinwiddie County School Board has convened a session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas paragraph 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dinwiddie County School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only such business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board. J. Sniff, District 1, absent. Betty Haney, District 2.
I certify.
Barbara Pittman, District 3.
I certify.
Mary Benjamin, District 4.
I certify.
Shirley Merritt, District 5.
I certify.
Jamaica Weaver, Student Representative, non-voting. Claire Carbreth, Student Representative. Madam Chair, we have 4 board members present, 1 student representative, 1 board member absent, and 1 student representative absent.
Thank you. I would like to invite all of y'all to stand and have Jamaica lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, amendments to the agenda?
Madam Chair, I move that we modify the agenda to return to after closed session and the superintendent speak to return to closed session.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda to return to closed session after the superintendent's comments. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? All right. We have the agenda. Do we have the motion to adopt the agenda as modified?
Yes. That's what we just voted on.
We have to vote on that.
We just did.
Oh, we did.
Okay.
All right, closed session report. Approval of student matters.
Madam Chair, I move that we modify the recommendation of the administration and return student number LT-03/22-1 to school with time served.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Madam Chair, I move that we modify the recommendation of the administration for student number LT-03/22-4 with long-term suspension to the end of the 9 weeks and provide alternative education beginning on April 11th.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. All right. Now we go to recognitions. The Reading Across America program.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We have some very special guests with us here today, dressed in red. The Deltas are here and they would like to make a presentation that involves some of our students. So I'm not sure who's, you go all. I should have worn my red, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're still honorary.
I can be honorary, okay.
Good afternoon to the
afternoon.
superintendent, members of the board, and to our audience and guests. I am Tanya Brown Fletcher, and I am president of the Petersburg Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And on behalf of my chapter, we appreciate this opportunity to be able to make these presentations today. Many of you are familiar with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority and what we do. And for those of you who are not, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority was founded in 1913 on the campus of Howard University by 22 aspiring founders who focused on 5 areas: economic development, education development, physical and mental health, social action, and international awareness. Our focus today is on educational development. Our chapter services 7 areas, and Dinwiddie is in that area. Many of our sorority members have been very versed and involved in the Dinwiddie County schools with the elementary principals. And we have committees that focus on getting the work done of our sorority. Many committees focused on the educational aspect. One of those committees is the Book Buddies Committee. And so the Book Buddies Committee is very active in the Dinwiddie schools. So we have here today the chair of the Book Buddies Committee, Ms. Kathleen Murphy, and I'm going to yield to her in a very brief moment. But I also wanted to share that many of the members of the Book Buddy committee are retired educators, active educators, many in Dinwiddie schools. Many are involved with Dinwiddie in other aspects, such as school board members. We have our Miss Mary Benjamin, who is also a member of the Book Buddies Committee and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. And we also we're very, very proud of the presentations that are going to be made here today. Both are, of course, focusing on student achievement. One of our presentations will involve our presentation of gifts of books to Dinwiddie Elementary School. And again, our Book Buddies chair is going to do the bulk of that presentation. But we are extremely proud that we partner with an organization called the National Children's Defense Fund from out of Washington, D.C. And we are proud because we have the director of the National Children's Defense Fund here with us today, Ms. Crystal Clemens, who is also a member of the Petersburg Alumni Chapter and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. So we're enriched in education. So at this point, I'm going to yield to the Book Buddies chair, Ms. Kathleen Murphy.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Madam Superintendent and other members on the board and all guests in the meeting today. I am the chair for the committee Book Buddies, and we do come, used to be before the COVID, we would come and on site and into the classroom, the second grade at your Dinwiddie Elementary School. But since COVID, we come to you virtually, and we have not missed a month.
That's right.
And each month we have themes. So we supported the Read Across America during March the 2nd. And we decided this time, for the first time, that we would do something in addition to the reading activity. We would just have a question and answer session at the end and have winners who could answer the questions correctly. So we did that. And we had, as a result of that, 4 of your students to answer the questions, and we thought we would give them something very nice. Of course, the first thing we said, a new book. And that is what we are going to do today. So if I could have the principal, Mr. Roberts and Miss Lucy. Miss Lucy is the person who I have to coordinate with, and she gets many emails from me, and she's a super person to work with. And so Mr. Roberts, I've worked with him for several years on this, and it's been a delight. So at this time, I would like to just say who they are. Out of Ms. Tomlin's class, we have Ava Randolph and Bailey Johnson. Yeah, the one for the boy. And then Miss Wells' class, we have Joshua Archram and Raleigh Shaw. The male. This is for the male. Okay. All right. And then this is for the female. And we cannot give them directly to the students. Policy is not allowing us to do that at this time. Well, in addition to giving those students the books, They won because they were good listeners. In those packets of your new books, you can put your name in there. There's a label from Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and you open that book up in the front and put your names in there. And we also have other gifts for them. Everyone's not going to be the writer of the new book. We're going to have some illustrators, so you'll see a whole lot of art activities in those books. So that's what we have for the winners at this time. And at the end of the year, we normally have a May book presentation period. And that is where we actually give a new book to each student. But in between with the COVID, we partnered with the Children's Defense Fund, Miss Crystal Clemens, and our sorority decided to distribute books to all of the schools that we actually partner with each month. And so as a result of that, we have.
Whoa. Very nice.
From the
Very
chapter,
nice.
Petersburg Alumni Chapter, partnered through the Children's Defense Fund. 15.
That's awesome.
15 brand new books. These are 15 brand new culturally diverse books, and Ms. Clemens will tell you briefly about the Children's Defense Fund.
Thank you so much, Sorors. I'm the National Director of the Children's Defense Fund Freedom Schools program, and because of concerns with COVID and pandemic learning loss, we created an initiative called Chapters Beyond Books, where we connected with sororities and fraternities all over the country to distribute culturally relevant books to our children. At the Children's Defense Fund, we believe that our children can and must make a difference in self, family, community, country, world, with hope, education, and action. We serve 11,000 children across the country in our summer enrichment programs, and we're just delighted to be able to partner with Petersburg Alumni Chapter and Dinwiddie County and other counties across the country to provide books for our scholars, because all of our children are important, and we want to make sure they all have access to quality reading enrichment. So thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Superintendent, we will ask other members of our Petersburg Alumni Chapter sorority to stand to include the chaplain of our sorority, Miss Emily Brand.
Yes.
Thank you so very much.
Well, thank you.
Madam Chair, I saw
Yes, ma'am.
parents trying to get pictures. I wondered, did they get the pictures? If not, the association could come up so the parents can take pictures with the students as well.
Sure, thank you.
That'd be awesome. Can we do
Y'all
that
want to get
now?
up there and take
Yes.
pictures with the kids?
Okay. The whole team.
The whole group? Yeah,
Sounds
all
good.
of y'all can
Thank
get
you
up
so
there.
much.
Uh-huh.
Yes, ma'am. How are you? I'm good. Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, good.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you. It's good to see you. Yes, God. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Before we get into those.
I just want to thank you all so very much for that presentation. It was absolutely wonderful, and we really, really appreciate all your time that you put in to our school systems. So thank you. We're going to take just a 5-minute break if y'all want to leave, and if parents want to leave with the children, please feel free to do so. Thank you.
They catch him.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my gosh.
Can you take this off so I can see you better? Oh, yes, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is. Yes, yes. Oh, is that right? Yeah. I didn't know that. Oh, my goodness. Huh. I haven't either. Do they? As Dr. Weston gets back here. Anderson. Oh, Mary's out there too.
Mary's out there. Mary. Miss Benjamin coming back to you.
Yes.
What a neat group. I know. That person that said her husband used to work with you. Yeah. Yeah. That's what she said. Yeah, that's what she said. She worked with Cheryl, she said. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
We'll call them. I was enjoying my conversation.
I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Okay, we are now at board matters. New business?
No,
None?
no.
Okay.
That's not dress code.
No, that's, superintendent matters is dress code.
Yes. I am so happy to bring this to you this evening. Jamaica, as you know, we talked, I think, was it about a year ago, so that you all wrote the letter to say that she wanted to talk to us about the dress code. And so really has championed this process at the high school and rallied the student advisory group and got Ms. Boozer on board to be her teacher sponsor, and Mr. Garnes, Ms. Loving. So she's got a lot of support at the school. And so she and Claire have really spearheaded this effort. And I'm really proud of the work that they've done. I did have the opportunity a couple weeks ago to go out and listen to their recommendations. And what she's going to be bringing you this evening is the recommendations to changes to the dress code. I did provide for you on the right-hand side of the folder that you have, you'll see the current dress code as it is in our code of our code of conduct handbook. And then behind that is the one that Jamaica is going to be sharing with you this evening. So Jamaica, I know you've got a great team. They're all here with you tonight. And thank you all for being here.
Greetings, everyone. Dr. Weston took most of my spiel.
Oh,
so
sorry
thank
about
you.
that, Mr. Weston.
But to our
I was trying
board
to
chair,
make it
to all board members, to all present, I am very, very excited. I will say, anytime you talk about dress code, when they first approached me, I was a little skeptical. I'm going to be honest with you. But I will say that Jamaica Weaver and Claire Colbreth, they put a lot of work into this. They solved some issues along with some other students, and they took it head on. And I will tell you, they followed every step that could be followed. They included students, they included teachers, they shared a letter, I believe, with the parent, and their sponsors, especially Ms. Boozer stepped in, and we want to thank her. We also want to thank Ms. Loving, and we had true support from those two. And I will say, it speaks to our students doing things the right way. And I just want them to know publicly how proud I am. I was a little hesitant. We had meetings, and I want to let you know this did not occur overnight. It took a lot of time. They did a lot of research. So I'm just going to turn it over to Jamaica this time. Thank you.
How does this work? Push the button.
Right here, just right like ours.
Yep, okay, yeah. Good afternoon, board, superintendent, and guests. Thank you all so much for being here today. I'm very happy to introduce the newly proposed dress code that Claire and I have been drafting. We've actually been working on this since late August of last year, so we're very happy for this to finally come about in a meeting. So, one of the Virginia laws that have recently been passed permits any students to wear any religious and ethnically specific or significant head coverings or hairstyles, maintain gender neutrality, and does not have a disparate impact on students of particular gender, as well as being clear, specific, and objective in defining terms. So we all wanted to make sure that all of these aspects were in our new dress code. So the following dress code will have all of these things. So why do we want a new dress code? We wanted to meet the Virginia law that was previously read, or parts of it that were previously read. We wanted to be more inclusive for new and current students. We also wanted simplification and clarification that makes things more accessible for everyone. And controversy on social media between students also made this movement able to happen because we had a lot of student support, as well as setting the standard for other localities, because we believe that if we can't make a change, if we can make a change within our district, other districts will do the same. So some definitions that we're going to be using today are straps, which means the piece of the garment that allows it to be hung on a hanger, and the box, which will be used to determine what should be covered. So what's on the screen right now is how the rest of the presentation will be formatted. So at the top, it will have the current wording of the dress code, or the current wording of the rule in the dress code as of now. On the left, it'll have opinions of staff, teachers, and students. And on the right, the alternate will be presented. So the current dress code is very long, unspecific, and wordy, and we felt that we could condense a lot of it and remove
a lot of the things that are already in there. So our newly proposed dress code is short and to the point, and a lot of it draws back to the picture of the box that has, well, we will get to that further down in the presentation. Okay. So the first rule that is on our current dress code as of now is hoods, hats, or any other item that restricts identification inside school buildings during regular school hours unless required for religious or medical reasons. So this rule started discourse between students and staff, and students and staff and admin, we were not able to reach an agreement on what we would do with this rule. So we decided that we would let it be up to the board to vote on for the middle and high school. The staff concerns of allowing hats and hoods in our school is safety, hearing of students, and inattention in class with earbuds, and students wanted to show uniqueness and personal style with wearing headwear. So the decision or the two decisions or options that we had came up with for the board to vote on were option A, no hats or hoods unless required for cultural, religious, or medical reasons, or option B, all headwear is allowed as long as it does not impede identification.
So what the ladies did a lot is took a lot of polls from the students and the staff. So admin and staff had the choice between what they were okay with, what they weren't, and they gave us the statistics. 62% of the staff who responded to our poll, which we had about 100 people roughly respond out of the high school, said no hats and hoods. And the main concerns, as Jamaica said, were safety in the hallways, identification in the hallways, and then listening to music during instructional time. As a teacher, I can say, absolutely, that's a thing. We do have some conversations for earbuds in the ears during class. However, we also had the students' input. We had 181. I misspoke. There was 34 responses from the staff. Totally off. I apologize. From the students, we had 181 out of the entire high school population respond, and they really wanted hats and hoods to be allowed in the building. A lot of their reasoning goes back to individuality. School spirit was a big one. A lot of our athletes who have hats and hoods, or hats in particular, they want to be able to wear them in the building on game days. We also saw with the individuality, because of COVID, a lot of the students were saying it was kind of their comfort. It allowed them to come to school and be brave enough to speak up in class to answer questions. But it does go back to that we couldn't, the ladies and I couldn't find middle ground between staff, admin at the middle and the high school, although Mr. Walters threw a wrench in it last meeting. So we wanted to leave it up to the board, the ladies did, specifically because we couldn't find a common ground. So hopefully you guys can give us some guidance on that. Thank you. You're welcome. The next one, Jamaica will take back over.
Okay. So the next rule that is on the current dress code is the following items on school grounds: bandanas, do-rags, hair picks, wave caps, large combs, brushes, and rollers. We felt that the verbiage of this rule no longer coincides with the culture that Dinwiddie is trying to cultivate. So we changed it to, during school hours, grooming products must remain in a book bag, including and not limited to brushes and combs. The next rule is sunglasses unless prescribed by a physician. We decided to make this rule simple, and this covers sunglasses and costume glasses, since sometimes glasses would be determined by admin during school weeks or special days at school. So we decided to change the rule to only prescription glasses may be worn in the building. But we do understand that some people have transition lenses in their glasses, so that would be separate from that rule. Dresses, skirts, shorts, athletic shorts, and other similar clothing must be of appropriate length. When wearing leggings, tights, or similar apparel as an outer garment, tops must be of appropriate length. The administrator reserves the right to determine if the appropriate length for the educational setting. So a lot of us had problems with this rule because of the wordage appropriate length, since that could be dictated by anyone. It led to a lot of confusion, and it can also lead to potential bias based on who is dress coding who. So we resulted to the box, and in the box, all bottoms must reach mid-thigh.
And again, we had a lot of conversation around this because of the length of people's torso versus the length of their legs. We had, up until beginning of February, had a 4-inch inseam. There was a lot of concern about dresses and skirts, and then there was a lot of concern about when students sit down. So the compromise was made that it would be mid-thigh, which allowed for all of the differing shapes and sizes of all of the people in our schools.
Messages on clothing, chains, jewelry, and personal belongings that pertain to drugs, alcohol, tobacco, vapor devices, sex, gangs, vulgarity, or that could cause a substantial disruption to the learning environment. We had no complaints with this rule, and we added the word weapons as that was originally left out. So the wording will change, and it would change to messages on clothing, chains, jewelry, and personal belongings that pertain to drugs, alcohol, tobacco, vapor devices, sex, gangs, vulgarity, weapons, or that could cause a substantial disruption to the learning environment. The next rule was spiked jewelry, chains, and items which could cause student injury. We felt that this rule singled out students that have a unique style, and we wanted the dress code to be simple. And also, spiked jewelry and chains would also, if they were going to harm other students, that would fall under the category of weapons, which would be in the code of conduct and not the dress code. So we ended up removing this rule. The next rule is beachwear, which includes bathing suits and trunks and sleepwear. The box covers this topic as we wanted the dress code to be as simple as possible, so we ended up removing this rule. Clothing that reveals undergarments. We agreed with this statement, and we reworded it to be an affirmative statement and easier to comprehend for students and parents. So we changed it to all clothing must cover undergarments at all time on student property, on school property. Cut-off jeans, cut-off sweatpants, or torn, ripped, or slashed clothing that reveals undergarments or body parts excluded by other parts of this code. We felt that this rule caused confusion amongst students and parents as well as staff, and showing undergarments would be addressed with the box. So we ended up removing this rule. Bedroom slippers are shoes with wheels, also known as heelys. So this rule posed the question, what classifies a bedroom slipper? And we had came up with the answer that the difference of having a sole in your shoe and not having a sole. And also the trend of heelys, that is a safety precaution, so those weren't allowed in the first place. So we changed the rule to all shoes must contain a sole and cannot contain wheels, also known as heelys. Clothing that reveals the midriff while sitting or standing. The box covers this, and we wanted the dress code to be as simple as possible, so we ended up removing it. Clothing that is see-through, revealing, resembles undergarments with plunging necklines. This has already been discussed, and we felt that this being in the dress code again would be repetitive, so we tweaked it a little bit. Instead, we said, sheer and see-through clothing must have solid material underneath that follows the box as seen above, since in the dress code this would be under the box. or the picture of the box in the dress code. Tube tops, halter top dresses, strapless dresses or tops, dresses with shoulder straps must completely cover undergarments. So this posed a question between staff, teachers, and admin of what is appropriate in schools. So we had posed that this was already addressed in the box. We also felt that shirt straps could be based on the different age groups within secondary schools. So the middle school would have a 2-inch strap, while the high school would have a 1/2-inch strap based on their maturity level.
So we spoke with Mr. Garnes and Mr. Walters about this, and it is specifically written on the hopefully one page document that will be in the code of conduct on what a strap width actually has to be. The middle school, the concern was the 6th graders specifically. 6th graders don't need to have as much showing. Comfortable, yes, but at the high school we are helping these children become adults. So part of that is giving them a little bit more leeway. The concern did come up about the straps being too thin to cover undergarments, but that is covered. We cannot see their undergarments at all. And so that is still covered. It's just on a different bullet point.
High heels or flip-flops at the elementary level. For safety reasons, elementary students are encouraged to wear athletic shoes or closed-toe shoes with a rubber sole and should wear such shoes for physical education and recess. We didn't want to change anything regarding the elementary schools, so we decided that this rule will stay the same.
So this is what we're hoping it will look like. The yellow piece is where the board gets to make the decision between option A of no hats or hoods, option B, hats and hoods are allowed. Our goal is to make it one page. In the picture of the box, what it goes over, it specifically points to the straps and it gives the specifics. It has to have straps. And it goes into everything from the armpits down to mid-thigh has to be covered. So there's no confusion, there's no questions. The idea is once this is passed, we can get posters made of the box and put them all over the schools so that a lot of the concerns can be taken away from the teachers, the staff, the administrators, and a lot of the students. They know what they're seeing. They can't come to us and say, I don't understand. It's right there in front of them. Do you want me to keep going? Yeah. Okay. There was a lot of concern as well from a lot of the females in the high school saying they felt almost attacked when they were dress coded, especially for our curvier females. So we wanted to take that uncomfortableness away and make this as safe of a place as we possibly can. And that was one of the other reasons we went for the box. And we did some research. We saw this in other counties already being implemented. So we feel that this is the best way we can move forward and be cohesive, inclusive, and be a safe place for people.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Boozer. You're welcome. That is the presentation, and thank you so much for viewing. Any questions?
That picture with the little person, can you put that back up?
You have the older version.
I know, I was gonna say,
you have
I
the
just
older
wanted to
version.
ask her about it.
Yeah.
It does say mid-thigh?
Yes.
Yes.
not
Okay,
4 inch, yeah.
bottom should be mid-thigh.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question on the shoes with the sole. So right now, flip-flops are supposed to not be in, but I do see people wearing flip-flops. But they have a sole, albeit a rubber sole. And the original intent about flip-flops was a door scraping across your toes or that sort of thing. But if you say shoes must contain a sole, is that inclusive of slides and flip-flops? Is that covered the way you think it is? So meaning they can wear slides and flip-flops.
I think the only concern was at the elementary school. Our hope is that at the secondary level, they know that they need to, on PE days, wear closed-toed shoes. Again, that's our hope. But this verbiage should cover flip-flops, slides, Crocs, sneakers, what are they called? They're slippers, but they have soles. So that was the big concern. The Uggs. There we go.
But there are slippers, men's slippers especially, that have soles that they can go outside. They could wear those to school,
Yes.
ma'am.
even though they're slippers.
Yes, ma'am. Any more questions?
I don't have any questions, but based on what I'm seeing in your proposal, it does appear to be inclusive,
Thank you.
simple, and clear, and just maybe it'll set the standards for other localities. So I
Thank you.
commend you and Ms. Culper.
Thank you.
I have always been very open and honest about my concern about hoods and do-rags and some hats. And my concern is not about what it looks like or who's wearing it. It's about the safety and the fact that we need to be able to tell who the student is and see the face so that we know that the person's a student and not the shooter. And that's my biggest concern. And the other concern would be that we could see a face when we're looking at videotapes if we have a discipline problem. And it would be nice if we didn't have to have those kinds of concerns, but safety does. And I know that we're saying that currently we're not seeing bandanas and do-rags, but I don't think we can be complacent to the fact that they could make a comeback. Right now, they're not in, but they have been in other times in my lifetime. So I do think we have to at least pay attention enough to say whatever policy that we decide on, making sure where they fit in there. And if they're an issue, I mean, maybe they're not.
Okay.
So I know Claire had brought this up, and unfortunately she wasn't able to be here. I believe there's a tennis match. She brought up a good point with the bus passes, where I know this wouldn't help with the video cameras. However, with the identification, if the students are required to carry the bus passes, like they do, I believe it's in Prince George, they have to have it on their person when they're in the halls and in the school building. So the students already have them, so we could just possibly, it's an idea that Claire had, include that as well.
As what?
As an identification piece.
But see, that wouldn't really help, like if there was a fight or a camera. I mean,
Right. So that's why I said it wasn't for the camera piece, but in
Right.
class, if I'm walking down the hall and they have to have their identification, that would be the one piece that I could ask for.
And the other thing is the earbuds under the hoods it's and probably in my youth I could do 4 things at one time, but research says that you can listen better when you don't have earbuds in. So that is a mature student wouldn't do it, but people are growing up and they could hide them under the hoods.
I really think it's wonderful to make it one page.
I think
Nobody
it's-
wants to keep reading all this stuff. They won't either. They'll read the first 2 and then throw it down and throw it away. But this is good. It's
Yeah,
one
I
page.
really applaud the simplification and the
Yes.
clarifications. I think you've done a good job on that.
Very good.
And I will say, we have to consider all this as it applies to all schools. We can't have, I personally don't think we can have a dress code that's high school, one that's middle school, and something separate for elementary. So we got to look at the whole thing for everybody. But you guys have done a wonderful job of simplifying it, and it's great to be able to just look at that box and say that's where the clothes should be.
Thank you.
So that's a good thing.
Any other comments?
I think that box would be a great help to all of us
Definitely.
and the parents especially. And I like some of the things that you've included in how they're to dress with undergarments, and I think this should be a great help.
Yeah.
Thank you. You all took a lot of time with that. I know you were nervous doing it,
Thank you.
but
I couldn't tell.
You did
Thank
fine,
you.
Jamaica.
We're not so mean. No.
We're not so bad.
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we'll be bringing it back to you in April for approval, final discussion and approval.
Okay. So we got that. Board member comments? You want to start?
I've already gave my comments.
Okay.
I don't have it.
I would like to say thank you to the Delta Group and the Book Buddies for all the wonderful work they do in education. And they all look good in red, evidently. You can't. I appreciate the information on the dress code, and I want us to be able to do what we can that accommodate students and teachers within reason of safety. And you say something, Christy? What? Okay.
Yeah.
And I had another comment, but I'll wait till after Dr. Weston.
Okay, and I'm the same way. I just want to thank the Delta Sigma Phi Theta sorority and Miss Benjamin. Your group did a marvelous job, and I didn't realize they did so much in the county for the schools. And I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
And really want to thank Jamaica and Claire for all their hard work. Y'all did a great job. And that's it for me.
Yes.
Yes, and Miss Yates.
So I would just like to say you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I would say to Jamaica, I know your tenure's coming to an end with being the board rep, but Jamaica and Claire are pretty special, as if we couldn't tell that from today. But going to do amazing things in this world. And I am so happy to feel like I get to play a little part of that and that get to know you. I can say I knew you when, back in the day. So thank you so much for your hard work that you've done on this. I've really enjoyed working with you and watching you work and learning from you as well. I think the Deltas, Dinwiddie is a very special place, and we do have a lot of wonderful community partners who just lean into the work here and support us, and we couldn't do what we do without you, and I'm just so appreciative of that. And my final comment is that, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get through this comment, but on our board report this evening, we're going to lose a very special member of my team. I'm going to say my team. And when I first came to work here, I always tell the story that Christy Clark was one of the first people that I got to meet. She brought me a basket of corn, which I thought, where the heck am I? I got a basket of corn. It was quickly just brought me in and was just so helpful to me. And it has just been really a pleasure to be your suite mate all these years and to work with you. And I'm so happy for you, and I'm happy for Richard Bland. And I know you're going to do amazing things there. I know you're going to miss us. She's going to miss those calls that she gets to make, at dark 30 in the morning.
We snow voice. Yeah.
I'm so happy for you, but I didn't want this is the last board meeting that you'll be with us, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say in public, truly, that you are the Dinwiddie difference. I mean, you represent everything that's good in the school district, and I want to just say thank you for that and everything you've done to make me a better person and a better superintendent, so thank you.
I'm sorry you're leaving us, but excited for your new job. I know that you're working with dual enrollment, which includes our students, so it'll be a help to our students as well. So that's the only reason I'm not mad at you.
I know. I think we're all going to miss you terribly, and you have been an asset to this board and to the school board office in particular. And we are definitely going to miss you and wish you all the best. And I know you will do well. You will be hopefully very, very happy. So, all right. Well,
I move that we go back into closed session.
Second.
all right. It's been moved and seconded to go to closed session.
Oh, wait.
Hold on.
Oops, wait.
Jamaica's parents are here.
Oh,
Is that right?
Jamaica's,
Okay.
Jamaica's, are these your parents? Oh my gosh.
goodness.
Can I just tell you how much we love your daughter? Like, I know you do, but we really, really, really.
Would you like to stand up?
She is just amazing. Just an amazing person. Just, you know all that, but
Thank you for sharing her with us.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes,
We have enjoyed her tremendously.
yes. Yes,
She'll do great things, I'm
thank-
sure.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Moved and seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting and go back into closed session. So,
All in favor?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We are now adjourned. I'd like to call the meeting to order.
Madam Chair, I move that we go into the public hearing section of our meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go to the public hearing. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And, okay,
Jay Smith, District 1, Betty Haney, District 2,
here.
Barbara Pittman, District 3,
Here.
Mary Benjamin, District 4,
Here.
Shirley Barrett, District 5. Here. Madam Chair, 4 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go over the proposed school budget.
Ms. Golson, are you going to do the slides, or Christy, can you do the slides? I can go. Do you mind doing them? Because I'm going to sit right here. I think it might be right there. I apologize. Thank you so much.
Where do I point?
Dear Bonnie. Thank you, Ms. Haney, members of the board. It is my pleasure to bring to you the estimate of our needs for the 2022-2023 school year. We've had a lot of challenges of managing education of our future citizens, but I feel like that we've kept them as safe as possible during our health pandemic. But I'm going to present to you a budget that I think reflects and accounts for the resilience and dedication of our entire staff and a plan to retain them and attract more to join our team. As you consider this information, I would just be mindful that the fact that we do have a new governor and his administration's plans for education funding are still unknown, and they may affect this estimate of our needs. Something we've learned during these last 2 years is the importance of face-to-face learning, especially for our youngest students. And I'm proud to note that since the beginning of the 2021-2022 school year, we've kept our schools open for instruction. We know this pandemic has had a dramatic impact on our resources and our staff, both instructional and non-instructional, and we forced a focus on effective retention and hiring strategies. But we've stayed open, and we continue to ensure that our students are loved and cared for, and they feel a deep sense of belonging in our classrooms. And really, above all else, we've maintained our focus on teaching and learning that meets the high expectations that we have for our students and for ourselves. Everything in this budget really goes back to what our vision and mission are for our school. And when we talk about educating young people in Dinwiddie County Public Schools, we're talking about education that lasts long after they graduate from our high school. Next slide. You'll note the 4 areas of our comprehensive plan, and I've noted there in red what you're going to be hearing a lot about in our estimate of needs for the upcoming school year. It's really going to be focused on making sure that we're taking care of what our students' needs are, and making certain that we retain and recruit high-performing employees. And with everything we do, we want to be responsible stewards of the public's investment in our schools. The proposed $53.2 million of the operating budget encompasses a wide range of requirements that it takes to run our schools every day. We're going to continue to provide the essentials to our students and our employees, along with the resources and compensation that they and our community expect. However, just simply moving forward as we have is not enough. We must be more competitive in the job market, not only for educators, but for the support staff who keep our students fed. They get them from place to place and keep them safe when they're in our care. We must plan for and embrace the new and better wages if we're effectively going to compete for qualified individuals to fill our positions. Therefore, for this school board and for this administration, compensation remains a top priority for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Given what our staff members have accomplished in these extraordinary circumstances, this is both appropriate and warranted. To keep compensation at the top of our list, we made it a priority to take a careful look at our central office spending and to ensure that we were focused on bolstering the programs that we have in place rather than focusing on anything new. I'm so proud of what we've been able to accomplish with this proposed budget. Again, this year, we're recommending that the beginning teacher salary be raised from $46,500 to $50,000, in addition to providing our teachers with a normal step increase. These decisions are in line with the recent actions that were taken by our school board to adjust pay grades for our bus drivers. And I believe that making these changes will allow us to successfully begin the phase-in the recommendations which have resulted from the compensation study completed by Evergreen. On top of the pay increases, we also thought it was important to make substantial progress on healthcare costs for our employees. I will tell you that, well, first and foremost, go back to one slide, Christine. Was that the right one? That one's the right one, yes, ma'am. First, before I move on, I just want to draw attention to the fact that according to the Virginia Education Association, teacher pay ranks Virginia as 26th in the nation. The average annual teacher salary is over $57,000. Here in Dinwiddie, it's about $52,000, but still we're below the national average. And the reason why we entered into the compensation study is that we know that we also trail behind in other critical areas as well. When we came back, when we got our bid back for healthcare cost, it came back at a 25% increase for the upcoming school year. And we got a 1% reprieve. And that resulted in about 1.4 million additional dollars that we needed to find in our budget. Right now, you as a school board already pay $4.5 million on behalf of our staff. You pay for health insurance. So I just want you to know that even when we were looking at the compensation part, there are other parts to compensation that we had to look to as well. As far as our staffing goes, Christy, next slide. Just to let you know, we currently have 68.5 positions, but only 424 of those positions, or 425 of those positions, are funded by the standards of quality. So when the governor's office talks about giving a 5% increase, he's talking about giving a 5% increase to the positions that the state deems are necessary for us to operate a school system. And interestingly enough, there are a number of positions. For example, we are required to offer speech language for our young people that are in special education and qualify for those services, but the state does not fund any of those positions. So that's just one example of an unfunded mandate. So for this budget year, our commitments were to make sure that we were going to raise teacher base salary, take a look at the other pay scale and bring that up to the minimum wage. You know that minimum wage is going to go to $12 in January of next year, to ensure that our salaries are competitive, provide a retention bonus, which is going to come at a later date outside of this budget, and try to absorb the majority of our healthcare costs as that we can. This is what the compensation will look like in the region if we were to indeed move to $50,000. Currently, you can see where Dinwiddie is third from the bottom, and as far as the region goes. And I will applaud this board because for the last 4 or 5 years have raised the base of the teacher's salary, but still, as you can see, with other districts doing the same, it's like we've been chasing that top number. But if we move to the 50,000, it's likely that we would move to one of the top 2 in this region, which would make us highly competitive, and we're all looking for the same teachers in this moment. I do note that some of the other districts are merely doing the 5%. Okay. I will tell you that this pandemic has really shined a lot of light on, we already had a national teacher shortage, and I think the pandemic has only really created a bigger problem in that area. We have a lot of great teachers leaving this profession, and I will tell you that the demands that the past 2 years have put on the workforce have been great. And so with that, coupled with the short supply of any teachers, we really have a challenge. And I think I've shared with you before, when I was going to college to be a teacher, about 25% of the people that graduated, everybody was becoming a teacher, right? Now that number is less than 5%. And so it makes it very, very challenging. This past year, we were able to address the need to increase our additional duty supplements to help out with some of the extra duties that our employees had to bring on. We continue to try to think outside of the box about the ways to take care of our applicant shortages. We also took care of some attendance incentives for our bus drivers and our cafeteria workers, but we still have a long way to go. And I tell you that minimum wage is going to continue to rise, and by 2026, it'll be somewhere around $15 an hour. So we're going to have to start planning now for what that's going to look like. So what we are proposing in this budget would be that we expect to receive the SOQ funded positions that I shared with you previously, the 5% raise will get about a little over $1 million from the State Department as far as revenue. But what we're proposing to do is to raise the beginning salary to $50,000 and then provide that step increase. What that will do for all teachers is every teacher will receive somewhere between 7.36% and 9.96% increase. So that it depends on where you are on the scale. So the longer you've been teaching, the more loyal you've been, I guess, to say, to the profession, the greater your increase will be. That will cost us about $2 million. So already there, we've only received $1 million, but this is going to cost us $2 million. In transportation, you all approved a 6% raise for our in January of 2022. And we're asking that for them to receive an additional 5% in this new fiscal year, which will afford our bus drivers between 11.25% and 12.79%, which is going to cost us around $175,000. All other employee groups raising that salary to the minimum wage, which is $12. The starting rate would be $12, and providing that step increase would we give all other employee groups somewhere between 7.7 and 8% raise, and that's going to cost about $1 million. And you heard me say before that the health care increase was going to be about $1.4 million, and we're looking to absorb about $900,000 of that in this budget. So just to give you a sense of what that the health costs are going to look like, we were able to go out and share this information with employees. We have two plans currently. One is the high deductible plan, as you can see there, and the second is the local choice 500. So you can see there for the employee, if I'm a single employee, currently I pay $54 a month. The new pay, it would cost me $65 under this new plan, so the increase will be $11. And that's also before taxes, so it would be less than that amount. You can see there, if I'm a family, I'm currently paying $325 per month. It's going to cost me now $412 a month, so it's an increase of $87. On the right-hand side over there, you can see what the school board is currently paying on behalf of the employee. So for a family, the school board is paying $1,300 a month for a family. The new pay is they're going to be paying $1,600 for a family, so that's going to increase about $300. So the second plan at the bottom there is where we're going to see some additional increases as well. If you're single, you're paying $144 now. It's going to be an increase of $32. A family is going to increase by $200. But there's also substantial increases on behalf of the board as well. If you click to the next slide, how we made the decisions with this, we tried to figure out where the majority of the people, which plans that they had, so we could have the minimum impact to the most employees. So you can see there, the local choice high deductible plan. We have a total of 300 employees that subscribe to that plan. And you can see there the increase to the rates there, and how much of an increase it's being pushed out to the employee group, and how much the employer or the school board is absorbing. And there at the bottom, you can see the same thing. You can see there are 121 employees that subscribe to the local choice KA 500 plan. But certainly, you can also see there what the increases look like there as well. Student enrollment, this is a little bit of a moving target for us right now. You can tell everything's prior to the pandemic. Everything's prior to the pandemic and now to the new normal. But prior to the pandemic, we were really steadily seeing increases in our enrollment and feeling pretty excited about that. We'd actually had a team come out to do an enrollment study for us to give us like a long-range forecast so we could start to make some plans and when the pandemic hit. So right now, we are being somewhat conservative with this budget, and we're planning this around 4,100 students, even though we have a little more than 4,100 right now. We would rather watch this number and watch what it's going to look like on the March, the ADM, what it's going to look like, and then just see what our fall numbers look like when we start to return to school. We are seeing more kids start to come back to the public schools, but until we get that to level out a little bit, we are going to remain somewhat competitive with the planning of the budget. Just to give you a sense of as we're planning to, our our school community is changing, which is, it's kind of a blessing and it's also a challenge, because more speakers of other languages are moving to Dinwiddie County, and with that comes, challenges to make certain that we have additional teachers and support staff to receive them. Right now, with the majority of those students attend the Southside Elementary School, but they are starting to now be in other areas as well. We are seeing some more at Sutherland and Dinwiddie Elementary School. So, we do think that eventually we're going to have that program to be spread out across our elementary schools. Our special education population continues to increase. We are seeing an increase, especially in autism numbers. And that really is a testament to the high quality program that we provide here, and people want to bring their kids to Dinwiddie County to be educated. Okay. Christy got a new watch and it's talking to her. Okay, I thought it was your watch talking to you. Mine does that too. One of the things we've seen over the last couple of months, thank you, Christy, for that moment. We could all just take a breath for a second. We have seen the last couple of months, I will tell you, the stress not only for grown people, but the stress of kids. The things that we're dealing with our young people now, that as far as their health and wellness, is unlike anything that I've seen in my lifetime of teaching. And I really do attribute a lot of that to what the experience have been over the last couple of years. And I think when you isolate people, people, we're social beings. And so when you have to be isolated, and then now we're back at school, it's just, we're all trying to find our way back. And so we do have some pretty complex health conditions and some mental health related needs in our school now that we've never had before. And so that changes the kind of supports that we need to be able to provide in our schools. So a lot of our investment here is in our students, just to give you a sense of some of the things that we are expanding within this budget. We all know that what happens in the first 5 years of a student's life is most important. So you will see an expansion of our early learning program. We are partnering with our Improvement Association in an effort to try to do a type of a hybrid model, and we are still in the planning stages of that. The goal being that it wouldn't be an isolated program at one site, but that every child would go to their home school and work with one of our teachers as well, and we can provide the services to all of the kids. There is going to be an increase from PALS from pre-K to 5 that previously had been through 3rd grade, but we're seeing now with the past couple of years, we're seeing some gaps in reading, especially in grades 4 and 5. We're expanding work-based learning opportunities, some within our school district and some in working in collaboration with the county. We are seeing some increases in our regional programs. We did expand Maggie Walker this year. We're continuing with ARGS. We're continuing with Code RBA. And Rowanti currently, we have the highest number of students that are enrolled at Rowanti of the 3 schools that participate. So we're pretty excited about that. And we're getting ready to add plumbing over there as well. So we're pretty excited about the opportunities for our young people there. And contracted services, sometimes we can't afford, we can't find the personnel, so we have to contract with services, and we are seeing some unique needs on behalf of our young people. And so you see the increases there in those areas. We are also providing some targeted investments to ensure high quality instruction. Site-based substitutes have been very helpful for us in this past year because finding substitutes is almost as hard as finding a teacher. And we are going to continue to provide stipends for hard-to-staff positions. So kind of in sum, just want to remind people that in the 2019, once again, pre-pandemic, there were 3,100 teachers in the state of Virginia. And just so you know, there's 3 counties up in the northern area, Northern Virginia, that hire about 2,500 each. So, you can see that they're all looking for about 2,500 teachers a year, and then there's only 3,100 to go around. So there's a huge market for teachers and trying to be very creative in how we are, what we're doing. And I do know that we are looking at opportunities to start to invest in our own. And just once again, that there seems to be a lot of need, but not a lot of funding that comes with it. And of course, every contractor now is costing us, they can charge whatever they want in this moment because certainly the demand is greater right now than it's ever been. And so we are in a very competitive market for all of our employees, and not just our teachers, but all. And once again, we have to be in compliance with what state and federal government says we have to do, but, sometimes the funding doesn't come attached to that. The largest factor when we're talking about student success in the classroom is the teacher. I spent last week working with the principals, and we talked a lot about teachers and how important teachers are, and making certain that we're investing in our teachers. And so I want to make certain that whatever our teachers need, that we take care of them, so they want to continue to stay working here with us and with our young people. And then we're meeting all of the minimum staffing requirements. However, we certainly can, we need more to provide for that differentiated support that I shared with you earlier. So our challenges with this budget was about salary competitiveness, retaining and recruiting staff, those unfunded mandates, meeting the evolving needs, and then, of course, our aging facilities, which it seems like it's a never-ending challenge to keep up with all that. Another increase inside of this budget is building maintenance. We have been very fortunate in the CARES funding that we have received, that we've been able to address a lot of some of our building, our plans, our capital plans, but there's always more that we seem to find, and that so there's more to be done. Custodial services continue to increase for us. We pay over $1 million currently, for about $1 million for custodial services. So that's a huge expense. Utilities and fuel, I'm not even sure what fuel is going to look like in the coming months and year, and especially for our buses and our cars. We travel over 507 square miles every single day, in morning, afternoon, and evening, and so we've got to be prepared to keep up with that. And so as we develop this budget, I just want to remind the board and what the community expects of us. They expect us to have qualified, outstanding educators, that our students should graduate on time and life ready. I always say that the most important day of our young people's life is the day after they graduate, because I want to make sure they leave us with a plan, and that every child has a plan to go somewhere. That our schools have got to be safe and supportive and nurturing, both for staff and students. We should have services based on what children's needs are, and it's not just remedial needs. We have students, we always talk about, I talk about it from acceleration. So we take kids from where they are and we move them. So even the top quartile of the kids, we've got to make certain that we're being very competitive in that area as well. We're transporting students to and from school, and then we've got to maintain our building and our grounds. So this the revenue that is in this budget is built on what the governor's budget back from December. We are still waiting to hear from Governor Youngkin's team as to where we're going to finally end up. There is a bit of a gap between right now between the two houses, so we'll wait to see what happens. I'm hopeful that we end up on the positive side versus the other. But I do think we'll end up in a way that's very educated. I think they're very supportive of education. It does show here that in addition to the increase from Governor Northam's budget, there was about $2.5 million, but I don't have that in this budget as of yet. We did receive additional funds for teacher pay, at-risk programming, per pupil enrollment loss, early reading, and English language learners. And just as a reminder, that we can't generate revenue, nor do we carry over revenue, or we carry over monies. We have to go to our locality when we need to do things beyond what the federal government and the state government provides us. So we have to lean on our locality. And as the locality does better, right, then the state takes the money back from us, because they say your locality can afford to take care of that. And as we do better, as a school district, they take money away from us because we're doing better educationally. So I don't know where the benefit is of doing well, because they pull the funding back, but it is one of the challenges that we're faced with. And just to give you a sense, ours are the LCI, or the local composite index. Just reminding people where that comes from as far as our locality, and our locality is doing very well, and it's been increasing over the last several years. I will say that our locality has always been very supportive of our work, and we are requesting an additional $500,000 to support the teacher raises for the upcoming school year. So just to give you a sense of just a overview of what fiscal year 22 adopted budget looked like there, $49.4 million, and the proposed for this year, $53.4 million, and where the changes were. You see the $500,000 there of the county transfer, the additional state funds, the sales tax of $605,000. We do expect a little bit of a dip or a little bit a loss from Medicaid reimbursement and a small decrease as far as federal as well. The graphic on the next page shows you exactly where our revenue comes from. We're mostly funded by the state at 69%. The county gives us about 30% of our budget for the operating budget, that is. Less than 1% comes from federal aid, and then other local funds is less than 1% as well. Okay. So this budget, the operating budget, funds all the operations for the 22-23 school year. It meets the state requirements and guidelines. A lot of our community expectations. It's going to serve a diverse learning community. I believe it will retain and recruit a highly qualified workforce. We've been able to talk to some people who are considering retirement, and they're willing to wait it out a year or so, because they're feeling very hopeful and optimistic about the year ahead. And it also aligns staffing with our current student and school needs. Breaking it down even further about how we spend the money, just to give you a sense, about 70% of the money, or 71% of the money, is spent on instructional programming. Right after that is maintenance. We spend 13%. I think that has a lot to do with aging facilities and also all the costs associating with running our schools and our facilities. And then behind that, you see transportation is 5% of our budget. 7% of our budget. Technology is 5% of our budget. Administration is about $1.5 million, and attendance and health is at 2% of our budget. That's how we spend the money. All right. Wait, almost done. All right. So this is the part, the other funds that we receive outside of the operating budget, which we've not shared previously. So I'll just go through those briefly. Our textbook fund, as you know, you can see there the beginning the beginning balance of the textbook fund. We expect there to be about $675,000 there. And then we will receive some additional revenue and some expenditures out of there, but we'll end up with about $567,000. And you can see just some of the ways we spend the money. It has very specifics. There's specifics attached to this, so you can only spend it for things that are directly related to the instructional program. Okay. Our school nutrition fund, it is a standalone budget, as you know. The beginning balance for school nutrition will be about $480,000. And then you can see the revenue that we expect to take in for the upcoming school year, how much it's going to cost us to run the school program. And you know now that we provide breakfast and lunch to all of our students at no cost. And the ending balance will be about $304,000. This will provide our school nutrition employees with a 7.7% to 8.12% increase as well.
Dr. Winston, do
Yeah.
we know if the free breakfast and lunch will continue next school year?
As far as, yes, we're going to continue with the no cost for breakfast and lunch.
That will continue into next year.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
Because we went with that program prior to the pandemic.
right.
We were gonna be offering the free, what is it called, CEP program?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right. The next one has to do with the CARES funding. We've been very blessed in the area to receive a great deal of CARES funding. Right now, there's nothing there, but we're expecting to spend, I guess, about $7 million. We have a lot of projects going on. If you ever step into Christie's office, there's a project list, project board everywhere. We have a lot of projects going on, and just to give you a sense of some of the things that are inside of the CARES fund right now, we did put some positions in there for some temporary programs that we have going on, virtual learning. We did put some administrative interns in there to help with some of the administrative types of functions at the schools that did not have assistant principals. We do see in some of the budgets they are looking to add more administrative staff in schools, so that's pretty exciting. We have a floating nurse in there that's been very, very helpful, especially as we had to do all that contact tracing, but it has just been helpful because previously our nurses felt like they couldn't take any time off. We have a student services support at the high school right now, which this person's overseeing all of our work with our seniors. We're taking care of a lot of the things that at Southside, those other electrical, mechanical systems, we're getting all of that taken care of. We're putting new windows in at Dinwiddie Middle, Southside, and Sunnyside, a new generator at the middle school. We're going to be doing HVAC replacements at Sunnyside, Dinwiddie Elementary School, Dinwiddie Middle School, and Midway Elementary School. And so there's a lot of projects in addition to this that are already currently underway as well. In addition to the operating budget, currently I talked a bit about the school capital budget, and you can see here every year for small capital projects, we receive $150,000 from the county. We're asking for that to continue. You know that this past year, we just finished up with a huge project at Southside Elementary School with the HVAC system there. Very, very excited about that. We see a transfer from the county at a little over $1 million. We do know there's going to be some, we came in under budget for that, and so we will be working with the county to see if we can use those monies to spend on Southside, which I'm very excited about that. And so our proposed total expenditures for next year in the capital are going to be about $3.1 million. And just to give you a sense of the projects we have under consideration for next year, the restrooms renovations at Southside, the lighting upgrades for Southside. We're actually going to put lights in there that you can actually see each other, which is going to be very exciting. The LED kind of lights that we put in here to make it really bright, feels like, it's bright. The fire alarm replacement at Southside, the envelope study repair for the elementary school, Dinwiddie Elementary School, replacing the buses, the chiller replacement at the historic Southside, and our generator for the maintenance department. And then we have some cars and cafeteria equipment. And when we put the new windows up, we're also going to put these new energy kind of efficient shades up instead of the blinds that we have in these current buildings as well. And then we have several grants that we benefit from, and you can see there the different title grants as well as the preschool, PALS, Project Graduation, Security, and Peer. You can see the monies there that we receive from those sources. Beginning balance is estimated to be about $465,000, and ending balance around the same. And all those different grants get presented to you throughout the school year as well. Our debt service amount for Fund 402, beginning balance is about $1.1 million. We're going to receive about $3.8 million in revenue, but we'll spend about $3.3 million and still have an ending balance of 1.6. And so, in sum, you can see there the summary of all funds, about $4.7 million as a beginning projected amount, and total revenues $71 million this year. And I had to go back and kind of relook at that because it was such a big number in comparison to years previous, but a lot of it has to do with CARES money that we don't usually have those revenue streams. But you can see there that expenditures will be about $73 million for an ending balance of right about $3 million. And you can see how we are funded for the entire budget. The local revenue is about 1%. The county is once again at about 30% of our budget. The state's about 53% of our whole budget, and then the federal government is 16% of this particular budget. And there, the next slide, you can see the changes from fiscal year 2022 to fiscal year 2023. And once again, a majority of those changes have to do with the additional monies we're receiving this year from the State Department for those at-risk funding and those other things that I mentioned for the raises and EL programming and literacy and things of that nature. Also, the changes about we've asked for $500,000 additional dollars from the local transfer, and then of course our federal increase as well. So there's an increase of about 18%. So that concludes, that's a lot of numbers. That's a lot of stuff. And I know you all have heard it many, 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 many times over. So this is several, I think this is maybe the fourth or time. So thank you for being engaged, even though I know you've heard it so many times already. And happy to entertain any questions that you might have or and Christy's also here and has all of her notebooks with all the specifics for anything that I can't answer for you. And I think we do have somebody here too. Yeah. Mhm. Thank you, friend Durham.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Weston. Now, before we get into the citizens' comments, I need to read a little a little section. Public participation at any specially called meeting of the school board shall be determined by the board upon recommendation of the board chair. Normally, public hearings and public forums are designed to receive substantial community input and individual comment. Sign-up sheets will be made available at each door of those attending who wish to address the board. Time limits will normally be set for the speaker to assure that everyone has an opportunity to address the board. Typically, each speaker will be allocated 5 minutes during public hearings and forums rather than the 3 minutes allocated during the public address portion of our regular meetings. Okay? And I think we have one person signed up to address us. And when you come up, please give your name and address.
We have a second person. My address as well. My
Yes,
name
ma'am.
is Elizabeth Franciscan. I'm at 16082 Cox Road in Church Road. I have a request for the school budget. Recently, I attended a meeting at Appomattox Regional Governor's School for a discussion about their strategic plan. The executive director reported that Richmond Public Schools were adding 3 ARC slots in their school budget. And she was very excited about this because, about these 3 spots a year, these 3 additional students, because she said that ARCs wanted to grow their student body. That was one of their goals. I would like to see Dinwiddie County add more opportunities for students to attend ARCs. My older son is a junior at ARCs. He's a visual arts student. He fits in well at the school, and he's thankful for the opportunity to go there. I also personally know 2 students who were completely thrilled to receive their ARCs letter about 2 weeks ago. Over the years, I've also known students who were disappointed that they did not get into ARCs. Last November, the local newspapers and posts on social media were told about a Dinwiddie teen who had her poem published in Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. She is a sophomore at ARCs. Literary arts is her focus area. I understand that Dinwiddie plans to add 2 Maggie Walker slots to the budget. I also believe I'm correct that some ARC slots were taken away years ago in order to create a few Code RVA slots. While I'm happy about these other opportunities offered to Dinwiddie students, I would like to see strong extended support for ARCs. Now is the time to return the ARC slots that were taken away years ago. While Maggie Walker Governor School takes students interested in government and international studies, and Code RVA is for computer science students, ARGS has programs in technology, literary arts, dance, music, visual arts, and theater arts. Lastly, Maggie Walker is 41 miles from Dinwiddie High School, and Code RVA is 43 miles away from the high school. ARGS is only 14 miles away from the high school. The northern end of Dinwiddie, our most populated area, is even closer to ARGS. Students who live in that part of the county are closer to ARGS than they are to Dinwiddie High School. This makes ARGS convenient for our after-school activities, plays, sports. As far as regional schools go, based on location and the number of focus areas, I believe there should be more than 4 Dinwiddie students a year accepted to ARGS. I hope the Dinwiddie School Board will agree to provide additional opportunities for Dinwiddie students by adding student slots to ARGS in the school budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, the next person up, Ms. Loving. Please state your full name and address.
Hi, I'm Jamie Loving. I live at Dinwiddie High School, but I'm a Chesterfield resident, so I don't know if that really applies to me. I just wanted to take the time to come up and say thank you. I wanted to thank you for being such a part of my growing process. And though it's a necessity, it's also out of love that it is out of love for my students, my colleagues, and my family, and my 2-year-old that I leave to become a version of me that I can love myself. I wish that I was more equipped to talk about mental health with the people that I teach. I'm hoping that my actions teach them what they need to know. I will miss many things, and I wish you the best. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there are no other public comments. Pardon? Motion to adjourn. Do we have anything else on the agenda? That's it, right? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the meeting is now adjourned.